Hey everybody, just Mongor here. I'm bring over my Exodia slash Millennium deck profile. This is honestly a really fun deck to play. It's fairly cheap, super easy to learn. On a whim, I decided to take it to locals yesterday. I've taken like a little bit of break from the game, haven't really played too much. Uh, didn't really test this deck at all before I brought it. I did fairly well. Played 5 rounds. I think I got um, I think I've won like 3, lost 2, or something like that. Something like that. Anyway, starting off, of course, one of the 5 pieces of Exodia. You gotta play it, unfortunately. These are honestly, these are bricks. You don't really want to draw them. It doesn't hurt, but you'd rather have anything else. You really don't want these things in the Grave of Banishment. You can get them back, but you really don't want to. We're also on 3 copies of Heart of the Blue Eyes. This thing you can discard it to search for Ankh, which is really important. It also has a graveyard effect as well, which I honestly kept forgetting about. I almost never used a graveyard effect. I also forget it exists as well. We're also on 3 copies of Sangejin. I think it's how you say it. Wigs from a Millennium. So this thing, all the Millennium monsters except for the Blue Eyes, you can put into your back row as a continuous trap, and then either pay 2k or reveal Ankh in your hand to special summon. And they all have an effect based on if they're summoned or not. Well, when they're summoned. This guy here, he searches any Millennium monster, which is cool. Shield searches Ankh. And then Golem searches for Wedju Temple. And traps, we're on 3 copies of Lava Golem. This deck does not normal summon at all. So Lava Golem goes crazy. This deck is also pretty much going second, and we do not care about the grave at all. So, of course, we're on 3 copies of Shifter. We're also on 3 copies of Spooky Dogwood, because the Exodia Fusion card gets attack based off of your life points. You want them to be higher, of course. So we're, of course, playing Spooky Dogwood. You can get your guys really buffed up really quickly if the opponent just plays into it. I had a game where I just dropped a Dogwood, and they pretty much just passed after summoning like 2 guys or something, which was neat. So either they play into it or they just don't play, is the theory behind it, and it does work out a lot of the times. Spells, of course, we're on 3 copies of Ankh. This thing, pretty much, you can activate it and then reveal the 5 pieces of Exodia from your hand or deck, and or deck. Show them to your opponent, then they just get put back wherever they were. Then special summon the Exodia Incarnate from your extra deck. Also, this thing gets shuffled back into the deck after activation, and also you cannot summon any other monsters for the rest of this turn. It's a pretty cool card. It's your main way, well, pretty much your only way to get to the big guy. We're also on 3 copies of Wedju Temple. This is a field spell. It has some cool protection with the regular Millennium monsters. It doesn't really come up much because you're not really using them for much. However, this pretty much just lets you, during your main phase, place a monster from your hand in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell, and then place a Millennium monster from your deck in the spell and trap zone. So it pretty much just like sets up your back row pretty much with the Millenniums, which is neat. It's a starter, I guess. One Obliterate Blaze. You can search this off with the Millennium Fusion monster. If you control level 10 or higher with Exodia in the original name, gains these effects. You can pay half your life, pop as many cards in the spell and trap zone as possible, then equip 5 Forbidden One monsters from your hand, deck, or grave. Or hand or deck to this card as an equip card, and each of it gives it 2k. And also, if this card attacks a defense monster, inflict piercing battle damage. Pretty much just allows you to OTK, and also back row pop is really cool. 3 copies of Super Poly, again, going second. This deck is really good with this stuff. 2 Lightning Storm, a Duster, just more back row. Instant Fusion, we'll get to this later on, but it's a really funny thing. Prosperity, we really don't go in an extra deck much. We're on 2 copies of Thrust. I'm on like 45 or like 44 or 45. And I did not have a 3rd copy of Thrust, so we're only playing 2. It works out, it's fine, I guess. Obviously, 3's better. We're, of course, on Exiled Fires of Rage and as a Rune. This thing like combos nicely with your Millennium monsters when they're in like the back row and everything like that. But also it's like a monster negate summon negate. And also it's searchable off of the Rabbit Link monster. This thing's pretty cool. Obviously, this is also searchable off the Exodia Fusion. This card's also treated as an Exod and an Obliterate card. And if you control a level 10 or higher Exodia monster, destroy all cards the opponent controls. So it's a field nuke for them. Also, if this card's in your grave, except the turn it will center, you can banish it and activate one of these effects. Either you can add one Forbidden One monster from deck or grave to your hand, or shuffle up to 5 Forbidden One monsters from your grave and or banishment into the deck. So this is a really great way to recur your Exodia pieces, which you really don't want in your grave or banishment. Just puts them back into the deck pretty much, which is really cool. Getting into the extra deck here. We're of course only 3 copies of the Unstoppable Exodia Incarnate. You summon this guy out with the Ankh. And this guy is really cool. Obviously, he can't be destroyed by the opponent's card effects. Also, once per turn, if this card battles during damage calc, you can activate the effect to make this card gain attack equal to your life. Once per turn, when a spell or trap is activated, you can quick effect and negate the activation for free. And also, once per turn during your end phase, you can set an Obliterate or Exodia card from your deck. Also, once per turn during your standby phase, you lose 1k. So there is some upkeep in this, but it's just a free negate. It grabs all your shit. It's your OTKer. This card's pretty nuts. We're also on a Millennium Eyes Restrict. This is obviously what you're summoning off of your instant fusion. And the reason why is because obviously this is a monster yoink, but it's also, funnily enough, a Millennium card. Because it's a Millennium Eyes Restrict. So like your Ankh can't shuffle it into the deck during activation, which is cool. Super Poly targets one Garura, Mud Dragon, Starving Venom. This card was nuts. Draco Stapelia. I wanted to put an Earthgolem Ignister. However, I just could not get this card in time. It still has 1 printing, crazily enough. We're also on the number 38 Hope Harbinger. Links, we're on the Silhouette Rabbit. This is what grabs your statue. Sorcerer of Sebek for like life point shit. Phoenix, Unicorn, Underworld Goddess, and we're also 1 copy of Stardust Dragon. This is just for the side. This is obviously like a prospect target. It's not great. Anyway, for the side deck, I kind of built this last minute, so it's not great. We're on 3 copies of Dimensional Fissure. The 3rd copy, I had to borrow from somebody and return it. But this card's really cool. Just kills any deck that wants monsters in grave. It's really good. We're on 2 copies of Dark Ruler, 2 Cosmic for back row decks, 2 D-Barrier, 2 Warning Point, which is nice. We're on 2 Starlight Road, because if the opponent made us go first, which is like something this deck kind of sucks with, this is pretty much just a going second deck for the most part. Sometimes he like blow up our field, so I have Starlight Road to negate if they destroy 2 or more cards and negates it, and then summons out Stardust Dragon, which is, like, Judgment's probably better, but it just pays half, and I don't know, this was like cheese stupid shit, so. We're also need 1 copy of DDG, just more back row hate. You can set this thing off with Thrust, which is why I'm playing it. But yeah, that's the deck. It's super cheap. I think this deck literally cost me at the height of it, when like the Blue Eyes cards were like $10 a piece, was like, I think it cost me like $60 to build this deck, which is honestly not a lot. This is a pretty cheap deck. Like most of the cards cost like $2 or $3 for like the ultra rares. It's pretty cheap. It's a really fun deck. I do recommend it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Eat.